Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I am Sita and this is the Shawl Knitter Unplugged, and as you may notice, I'm wearing quite a lot of warm woolly items of clothing today, which can only mean one thing, and that is that I am no longer in India, in the Northern Hemisphere, just above the equator, not very high above the equator, but very, very hot where I was. And I am back down in the Southern Hemisphere, in South Africa, at the southern tip of Africa in Cape Town, where it is winter. Well, it's autumn, going into winter, and today is actually the very first day that one can actually call it winter. It's winterish, it's very grey. Yesterday and the day before was an absolutely beautiful couple of days. I was outdoors, went for long walks in the park next to the ocean, blue sky, no wind, absolutely beautiful. But because we're at the southern tip of this huge continent of Africa, the weather whips past us, and in winter there's a system of cold fronts that sweep across the Atlantic and brush past our tip and bring us lots of rain, which we love, and rather cold temperatures, much cooler temperatures. So today I would think the high temperature is about 14 degrees, which is really not that cold. But I'm just taking advantage to wear every single warm thing that I possibly can, because I've just felt so starved of being able to enjoy my knitwear, knit my knitwear, and especially wear my knitwear. So now you know where I am. I'm in Cape Town, I'm from South Africa, and I haven't managed to really give a nice long decent podcast for a few months now, due to a few factors, mostly noise, a lot of noise where I was in India, from external causes and from the fan that would constantly be whizzing around. It was very difficult, and to find a space. I was living in an apartment that didn't have very much furniture, so it was extremely echoey, and I felt terribly uncomfortable operating in that environment. So I would go up onto the rooftop, which was lovely, and apparently everybody enjoyed the sound of the birds and the crows and whatever else would be there to give us some background. Today I'm in the lounge of my daughter's home, where I'm staying with her for a while. And yeah, it's quite grey, but there's a glass door in front of me, which unfortunately is reflecting wildly on my glasses. So I'm sorry about that, but I will be unable to look at anything or do any knitting or see anything if I don't have my glasses on. So you'll have to just put up with me wearing my glasses. So today I am surrounded by knits, and I've been back not even a week, and I've just been casting on mohair garments and socks and shawls and jackets, and I'm just having such great fun. I've got about 4 or 5 works in progress and a few finished garments to show you. So right now, when I finish this row, I will lift up my knitting and I will show you what I'm making. I am knitting a shawl, which is mostly what I knit, being the Shawl Knitter Unplugged. And this shawl I started working on in India, but I had to come to a bit of a halt. I have showed it in some of my podcasts. It's the Astria Shawl from Amber O'Brien. Very lovely and colourful, and it's you start off in this with this Turkish cast on. I think I'm showing you the wrong side, but that doesn't really matter. The Turkish cast on, and then you knit in this half sort of horse shape circle. You knit this whole big half circle. As you can see, it goes down, and then you put some of the stitches on hold and you start to knit the wings. So now I'm knitting the second side. I have already knitted the first side, but I've done something quite interesting which I'd like to share with you. It's just a sort of little tip, I guess. This is a big bundle of knitting here, and this is one very long wing of the shawl. So I have taken some other yarn, and as you can see, I've sort of rolled it up and I've loosely tacked it onto the main body. Because I find, you know, when I'm knitting shawls, they get very long, and every time I turn the row, all the yarn gets tangled up, and I'm constantly like untangling and pulling the long tails or the wings of the shawl out so that I can get my yarn to knit with. And this is knitted with 2 strands of yarn together, so, and 2 colors. So I've got 4 strands of yarn. So I decided to come up with this little solution. It's very simple. I just took a darning needle and a strand of knitting yarn, and I rolled up the wing, and I have loosely tacked it onto the body of the shawl so that it's not in my way. It's a little bit heavy, but at least it's not catching everything, because I'm decreasing stitches, you know, it's getting less and less, and so the rows are very short, so the tangles are too much for me. So what am I using? I am using a lace weight merino, this lovely variegated skein, which comes from a local South African dyer, Bigfox. I've had these with me in India and been dying to get into them. So it's a lace weight held with mohair. So it's the same yarn that I've used throughout the whole shawl, but I've held it with different colors of mohair. I've held it with this light pink. I've held it with this dark berry pink. And I've also held it, and it's already mixed here together, with this bright neon pink. And then lastly, I can't show you the ball because it's actually finished, but I can show you the lovely effect, this yellow, which is probably blown out a bit because it's quite bright in here, which is actually like a luminous yellow that I've held together with the lace weight. So it's very light, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm sure it's going to block out quite a lot bigger than what it is. And I'm nearly finished with the second side, and I'm sort of doing it in between doing a few other things. Every day I kind of get inspiration to start something new. So this will be finished in the next couple of days, but there is, the whole thing gets outlined with a gorgeous I-cord. So that will take a bit of time, but you know, there's no rush. I can stop and start, and I do a bit of this in the day, then I do something else in the afternoon and something else in the evening, and then I cast on something new. So if you're wondering what I'm wearing, I am wearing, first of all, around my neck, one of my lovely Vertices Unite shawls from Stephen West. It's a small size, and it's really lovely. It's like, you know, I wear it sort of like a cowl, and it's all my favorite colors. It's got orange in it and lovely variegated yarns. Some of them I dyed myself, but I think most of these are, if they're not mine, they're South African dyers as well, and it's all merino fingering. And then I'm wearing one of my few, I think I've knitted 4 ranunculi. This is one that I have made out of Drops alpaca and Drops kid silk held together. And it's really cozy. It's soft and really comfy. I'll stand up because it's quite long, and I've striped it because I've wanted to make use of the yarn. Somebody brought me the yarn from the UK, so I decided to make the most of it. It's not quite a full length. I don't know if this is called a bracelet sleeve. I don't know what these sleeves are called, but it's got a very wide sort of 5-stitch I called bind off, and I've used a different color on each sleeve because, as you'll see, there are the stripes. So it's fairly long. I don't really want to show you my bottom half because I'm just sort of wearing my pajama pants, but it's light, and I've carried the pattern through from here, from the stitch pattern in the yoke. Every time I've changed color, I've used the last color to do that same sort of carry slip stitch across, and it's got quite a bit of ease, and it's gorgeous. I really enjoy it. It's warm but light. And my other ranunculi that I wear are actually all cropped and knitted in like lace weight yarn. So this is sort of a winter weight, what I call a winter weight ranunculus, and I love it, and it just goes so nicely with my vertices unite. So that's what I'm wearing. I'm wearing this gorgeous cap, which I did not make. I'll just lean forward, hopefully you can see. It's crocheted, and this comes from Guatemala actually, and I've had this for years and years, probably about 30 years in fact. A friend of mine used to travel to South America and bring back beautiful things, and this is one of the things that I bought, and every now and again I find it sort of disappears, and I don't wear it, and then I find it, and I'm so happy that I found it because it's just gorgeous. It's really lovely, and it's just warm. You know, I'm not really such a hat person. I don't feel hats really suit me, definitely not ones that come down over my ears. So this is just like a little cap, and because I have very short hair, my head does get quite cold in winter. Behind me, as you can see, is a beautiful shawl. This, I'm trying to think what this one was called. This was a collaboration between Stephen West and Olga Jazzy. As you can see, it's very much Olga Jazzy. I think she might have published this under her name, but it's a really lovely semicircular shawl. Let me bring it forward. And it's made out of a gorgeous merino and silk blend. It's very soft and very light, and I made this a while ago. I'm very fond of it. I do sell most of my work, but this one I've kind of kept. I just love, look at it, it's got such a 3D effect. It's sort of like an Escher-ish design, and whenever I wear it, people always remark on how beautiful the stitch design is, and it's got a 3D texture. If you don't know it, it's basically slip stitch. It's very, very clever, and yes, Olga does do absolutely beautiful work. So that is what is behind me. I have a few other things on my needles as well. You know, I'm a sort of a bit of a mishmash. I don't start with one thing and then I do finished project and then I do works in progress. I just sort of look around. Today I've got so much stuff around me that I'm just going to show you absolutely everything that I've got. So you do know, I'm quite sure, that I went to purchase a whole lot of silk in India, and I brought that silk back, and I have sold quite a lot of the silk, but I have also dyed some up, and I have knitted up a few garments just to test it out. This is a very lovely sort of ballet shoe pink satiny kind of color, but look at that lovely shiny texture and gleam off this gorgeous mulberry silk. So these are two skeins that I've dyed, and then also out of the mulberry silk I decided to knit a top, which is a top that I knitted from Pia Trans of 50 Fabulous Knits, and it's her drop top, which is basically I think a summer top. But I wore it yesterday with a t-shirt underneath it. It's got short sleeves. I've used 3 colors. I've talked about it before. It's come out absolutely gorgeously. It's called the drop top. It's got this this hole in the back, which she also calls a waterfall. I think you can hear my daughter's dog padding around. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I'll let her out. Yes, so this is the mulberry silk, and this is the drop top. It's absolutely lovely. It's very, very uncomplicated. It's just got rolled hem edges everywhere, on the sleeves, on the neck, on the bottom of the body, and it's got this lovely little detail at the back, which is very neatly double folded over edge, and it's gorgeous. So I have not blocked this yet. I've worn this a few times. I am anticipating that it's going to drop quite a lot, which is fine. I will be very happy if it has a bit more positive ease than it already has, but it's really lovely. I think you might be able to appreciate the gleam of the silk, and it's a gorgeous top. Another silk item that I made, which I actually blocked yesterday, is this fun color blocked top. It is a cropped sweater. It's quite nice and airy. It was a very thin lace weight silk. This was called Vilasa silk, also silk that I brought in India, but I decided not to bring this back because it was very thin and would definitely need to be held double. So I had the samples, and I knitted myself this lovely top in these 3 colors, which surprisingly enough works very well. And I wore it a bit. The arms felt a little bit tight, so yesterday I blocked it, and it is so soft. It's like a waterfall. It just hangs beautifully, and I love this berry color at the top next to the brown, and it works very well. So yeah, I'm making myself a few garments. It's quite fun. That was made with the leftovers of the silk that I used in these 2 shawls, which are also by Amber O'Brien. This is the Striation Scarf, she actually calls it. It's like a very long arrow shaped, starts narrow, goes a bit wider in the center, and then goes back to it being narrow. I did modify this quite a lot with all the eyelets. Hers is just striped, and one can do it with mohair and fingering. I used it with the double silk, just like the sweatshirt, the sweater I've just showed you, and it is so soft. I think this could be considered a summer weight shawl. It's really lovely to wrap around your neck, and so I had it in these colors, a light orange, a brown, and a dark orange. This was all dyed up for me. And then there was also, it was actually a kit that I bought to try it out. And then this one has got the berry colors in it together that I've held with the orange and the brown. So I've made 2 of those, and they are gorgeous. So yeah, I had 500 grams of all of this all together, and I managed to get 2 of these shawls and that sweater out of it, and I think I still have some more. I could make something else. I could make a Sophie scarf or something small. So the silk goes very far. It's really wonderful, and I'm just so happy that I've got it, and yeah, very, very excited to be able to work with the silk. It feels like quite a privilege, as we don't get our hands on silk that often, definitely not here. So that, I think, is all the silk. So what else has happened? Yesterday, I just got a wonderful surprise, an absolutely fabulous surprise in the mail. Now, you know, I'm always seeing lots of podcasters receive gifts from people, and I know that we, being in South Africa, it's not so easy for us to send parcels overseas or to receive stuff. And I was really surprised, but it was a local parcel that arrived for me. And I opened it up, and it was this absolutely stunning gift, which just touched my heart so deeply. Look at this lovely box of treasures that I received, of local yarns that one of the viewers, one of my Instagram followers, who's fast becoming a wonderful dear friend of mine, decided to send me. She told me in a message that she was destashing and she thought that these colors reminded her of me and that they had to come to me. So I got this gorgeous skein of sock wool, and this is from Bigfox yarns, and gorgeous colors, reminds me of the ocean. And then just some odd little, about 30 grams more sock yarn, 2 little balls that I could add into socks. And then this is African Expressions, which is a commercial South African dyer and yarn spinner. This is also a sock yarn. And then I went to go and have a look on her Instagram, and she's just knitting the most gorgeous socks at the moment. So I got totally inspired. And just now, about an hour or so ago, I casted on a pair of socks. But anyway, that's not all. There's a beautiful scented candle that came. This comes from Knotty Habit, and this just reminds me of India. It's sandalwood and bergamot. Oh, and it smells so beautiful. I don't think I'm going to burn it. I think I'm just going to keep it and sniff it every now and again. So thank you so much for this gift. Really, it just means so much to me, and thank you for your kind words and saying that I inspire you. Well, you have inspired me to cast on a pair of socks. So I'm just showing you, this is sock yarn that I had, and I'm going to pair it with this, and I am going to make a pair of Westnitz painting brick socks. I have made one other pair of Westnitz socks, and I really like the fit of them. I can't remember what this one is called, but it's actually lovely. It's got all these slip stitches. This is also a kind of bricks. It's not a painting bricks, it's something else. But yeah, these I have worn. As you can see, they're a little bit fluffy, and lovely warm winter colors, all with leftovers of sock yarn that I've had. So I'm going to knit myself another pair of socks inspired by my fabulous gift. And that is just such fun, because every now and again I knit socks, and you know, I find that I love knitting on small needles. I really do. I'm knitting another project at the moment that is knitted on a 6mm needle. And it's quite nice that it grows, but I don't find it very comfortable in my hands. It's not my favorite. I could never be a chunky knitter who knits on 10mm, or even, I have a size 8mm knitting needles. I think I used them once. I can't remember what for, but I don't enjoy it. I really love fine work. So I'm mostly in my stash, well, probably completely in my stash, I have fingering yarn and mohair, which I often hold together. I don't own any DK, and I definitely don't own any chunky yarn. So there's a pattern that's been intriguing me and inspiring me lately, and there was quite a lot of a build up to the release of it. And it's recently been released, and it's very simple, but it just appeals to me. It's a lovely, big, very simple in design, and yet aesthetically, I think quite Japanese feel, almost like a kimono cardigan. And that is called the Knitted Matagui Cardigan by Maysa Tomikawa. So it definitely is Japanese. And you know, she's had some beautiful posts. This is in black and white, so you won't really get the idea, but that is it. It's very simple. It's she's just shown many different versions, long ones, short ones, in Tasha, stripe, block, color blocked. And it's fascinating actually, because when you get the pattern and you read it, it's not actually garter stitch. It's called garter stitch, but it's actually knitted in pearl, and it's knitted in Portuguese pearl, but you can knit it in garter stitch, and I am knitting it in garter stitch. I did try for about 2 minutes to do Portuguese purling, and I decided it's not for me, or I just didn't have the patience in the moment. It wasn't what I was trying to do. I wanted to make this garment. I just want to be able to throw it over even something like this when it's, you know, really cold. Lovely big cardigan. I'm going to make mine quite long, and I may add in pockets. I think that would be the best idea. So I needed some thick yarn because I don't own such a thing. But just down the road from where my daughter lives is a very large store that sells all sorts of yarns, and commercial yarns, and even a sort of factory extras, let's say from knitwear factories, cones of not always pure wool, or, you know, a lot of acrylics, a whole mix of stuff. But what they do, which is quite nice, is they often pair together. So they'll get cones of acrylic and cones of mohair and cones of cotton and cones of wool, and they will wind them together in different combinations. So and sell them at a really good price. So I went down there, and they also have very old discontinued yarns, which are fascinating to me. I always go there and get oddballs of yarn, fluffy ones and sequined yarns, and this is one. This is one that I got that's going into my Matagui cardigan, which I'm really enjoying. Look at this. This is a tweed. It is actually 40% wool and 20% mohair and 40% acrylic. But it's really soft, and it's quite hairy. It's got a lovely halo. So I bought a couple of, I wasn't quite sure, I bought a lot of yarn actually. In the end I ended up buying a whole lot of different mixes, different tweeds to go together. This is even drops that I had. I'm going to use mohair, and this is South African mohair. And then there's a new yarn that's just come out, which is really lovely. Except that the colors, they're not very many very nice colors, but it's a South African yarn called El Merino, and it's 100% wool, and it's really lovely. It's really cheap, so I'm going to hold that together with this lovely rusty mohair, and I'm doing color blocking. So just as I go along, I'm changing colors, but I have decided that I will do the bottom section of the cardigan in this, the front, the back, a very big border. I'll show you because I started with that, and the bottom of the sleeves, and then that will be the coherent bit that holds it all together. So this is knitted on a 6mm needle, and this is how far I am with the back, and I quite like it. This is that funky tweed, and that's going to be at the bottom. And it's just going to stripe and change, so I'm sort of in a bit of a grayish brownish area. I'm going to go green, I'm going to go back into brown and green, and it's making this really lovely soft fabric because it's all got mohair with it, and it's quite wide. I think it's going to have quite a lot of positive ease. You can't really see here, but I'm making the second size. You can see it's quite large. It's got to be large. And so it's knitted from the bottom up. You knit the back up to the top, and then you divide it, and then you just basically knit straight down for the front. And it's got slits on the side, and because it's so wide, the sleeves are quite short. So this is something that I'm sort of doing in between everything else when I feel like a change, and it's pretty mindless. I can do it while I'm watching something. I really want the garment. I'm not really enjoying working with the thick needles, but when I have a bit too much of that, then I just go onto my little sock on my tiny little 2.5 needles, which I really enjoy using. So that might, oh no, that's not all I've got to show you. Oh, there's a bit of a wind banging on the door. The other thing that I'm about to start, and I just wanted to show you the colors because it's just so absolutely gorgeous, is somebody has asked me to knit them a slip extravaganza shawl from West Knits. I have a gorgeous orange one, which I wear a lot, and people always want it. And actually, it's the 5th one that I made. The others have all managed to get away from me, but that one I decided definitely is not getting away from me. So this one was requested, and I think this is going to be totally stunning. The main color is black. I don't really knit in black, but the main color of the slip extravaganza is just borders and edging, and it's not huge big chunks of it. So there's a lot of slip stitching and sort of painting bricks effect, and yeah, you know, filled in areas. And these are the colors that are going to go with the black. I think it's going to be totally stunning. I'm very, very excited to be doing it because I love the colors. And there's even a very much more deeper red that's going to join these 3. And the black is going to outline them all. So this is super exciting. I cannot wait for this to get onto my needles, but I will have to wait because in a week's time I will be going out to visit my dear friend Lenka, who, if you've watched my podcast, you've heard me talk a lot about her. Maybe you've even met her. We are actual real knitting buddies, in that we are physical real knitting buddies, not internet knitting buddies. So I'm going to spend some time with her, and we knit shawls together. We love knitting shawls. She's bought a few shawls from me, and yeah, we are going to indulge in some winter knitting, which is something we just love doing. Of course, we normally have a glass of wine or a glass of bubbly, and then we have another friend, Anel, who periodically joins us, but we just we do a deep dive into knitting, and as only we know how, which is wonderful. So yeah, I've come back just in the beginning of winter. It's very, very exciting for me. Today I went to the Montebello Design Center and gave them a whole lot of my shawls. So I don't know if you are in Cape Town, and if you don't know the Montebello Design Center and the whole Montebello Center on Newlands Avenue, you should go there. It is a very beautiful place set amongst old oak trees, which might just still have some leaves on them. Some very old buildings, historical buildings, which were stables and initially part of a historical farm, but have been turned into a craft and design center. There are 2 lovely restaurants there. There are quite a few makers, jewelry designers, all sorts of crafters, and this wonderful, beautiful, bespoke, curated shop of desirable, beautiful handmade items called the Montebello Design Center, and they sell my knitwear. So I've just dropped off a whole lot of shawls and hats and mittens and scarves, some silk ones as well. So if you're in the area, go and pop in, have a look, and yeah, maybe you'll find something you like. Definitely the Gardener's Cottage restaurant is absolutely delightful. You can sit under the oak trees. There's also a lovely nursery there. So I would really suggest that you go and take a visit if you're in Cape Town. It is a wonderful, lovely, peaceful place where you can actually go and hang out and sit in the garden and knit, have a lovely meal. There's also a lovely vegan, health, vegetarian restaurant. There are a few restaurants. There might even be 3 restaurants. And it is a lovely, peaceful environment, virtually in the center of the city. Cape Town is such an amazing city, really. You know, it takes one, you need to go away to come back and realize how gorgeous it is. On the weekend, we were literally 10 minutes drive away from my daughter's house, which is in the center of the city. We were in the forest, we went for a walk, we were picking mushrooms, and out in the beautiful forest area next to the mountain, really lovely, lush and green with streams and beautiful paths. And yeah, Cape Town is really beautiful right now, and I'd suggest you come and take a look. So today I managed to keep going for much longer than I have in the past because of the noise factor. I've managed to fit a lot of stuff in. I don't think I've left anything out. I'm so excited by these colors. I cannot wait to get started, but I'm holding myself back. Luckily, I've got some very nice things on the go. So I don't know if I mentioned what I'm doing. I'm going to do painting bricks socks out of this. I think it's going to be gorgeous. I have done a painting stripes shawl. Don't think I've done a painting bricks. Was that a painting brick shawl actually that I have made? I love Stephen West designs, and the last design of his that I made was the twists and turns, which was not my favorite. It was definitely not my favorite. I didn't enjoy the shape. I didn't really enjoy those little plaited bits, but nevertheless I knitted it out of a really bright, lovely bright pink and bright orange and cream, and it's a stunning shawl. And yes, I also amber O'Brien shawls very much. So I'm looking forward to finishing off that second wing of the Astria and doing the I-cord bind off. And then that one will be done. Then I will, probably by then, it'll be time to start the slip extravaganza. So that will mean normally I have up to 4 works in progress, which is fine. I can manage that. They're all different thicknesses, they're all different levels of knitting. Some I can take when I go traveling in the bus, or yesterday I went and sat in the park for a couple of hours and I took my Astria with me. That's why I actually stitched up that one side so it wasn't flying around and getting all tangled up. I believe in making the knitting process as easy as possible, and whatever it takes, I'll do that. If I have to stitch up my one long flapping piece of knitting, I'll do that. And yes, I don't believe in struggling, that's for sure. What have I learned recently? I'd like to just share something with you that I've seen a lot about. I've seen a lot about bind-offs lately, and I have started using, why did I use it? It was suggested on something that I just finished making. Maybe it was on one of these. I can't remember, but the Icelandic bind-off. It's really easy. It's really lovely. And I think I will be using that on a regular basis. It is quite stretchy. It's very nice. And then I saw one of my favorite podcasters, the Irish Knitting Podcast, Sam, Italian Sam, who lives in Ireland. He showed a very simple type of tubular bind-off that does not need to be sewn with a needle. You know, when I get to the end of a project, I don't want to now have to get out a needle and sew the end in. It just doesn't work for me. I want to bind it off. Years back, I used to find the I-cord bind off very tedious. It takes time, but I really love it. I love the look of it, the effect of it. There is nothing quite like it. It just edges things off in the most professionally beautiful manner. And actually, it doesn't even take long anymore. It's so easy, one can just do it. But yes, the Icelandic bind-off, I really enjoyed that. And yes, I normally do my socks. I always use a German twisted cast on, which I believe is that the one that's also called the Italian cast on? I know there's the normal long tail cast on. And then there's the German twisted, which is very simple. It's very similar. It's got a few more twists to it. That's quite good for socks. So that's what I've cast on my new sock with. And yeah, I'm just paying a little bit of attention to, you know, the details of cast on and cast off. But I'm not really trying to make my knitwear look like a shop bought item. So I do know, and I have done a proper tubular bind off, actually on some mittens of Olga Jazzy that I made a while back. And it does look very gorgeous, but it doesn't make any difference to me whether it's a, you know, Icelandic or if it's a tubular, and nobody's going to look at it besides myself. So I guess it's great to be able to learn all the different techniques, and that's great fun. Oh yes, there's something else I want to show you. I'm going to go and fetch it because it's so beautiful. Sorry, but I just suddenly remembered that I knitted a piece of lace, of actual real proper lace. Now I've been extremely inspired by my dear friend Irina of Fiber Chats, the master lace knitter who actually began her knitting career knitting lace. And I have been dying to do some lace knitting, but not really wanting to dive into the rabbit hole of knitting lace forever. So very recently there was a lovely little neckerchief that came out by Gudrun Sodgen, and I'll have to put it in the notes below what it is, but it's just so beautiful. It's just this is what I did the Icelandic bind off on. This is the one. Look at this. I have showed this, but isn't this just gorgeous? This is done out of a single strand of the fingering of the lace weight silk. It's really lovely. It's just this very, very light little thing that you just wrap around your neck and probably tuck into your, not your orange jersey, but you know, just tuck it in, and it's just like a cloud. It's so gorgeous. I'm sorry about the terrible color combination, but yeah, it actually gives a little bit of warmth. I'm going to give this to a friend for her birthday, and it's sort of like a little bandana. And I think she did say that it could also be worn on the head, but I'm not one to wear a headscarf by any means, so I don't think that would work for me. But I just wanted to show it to you. I mean, this, I don't know, it weighs about 12 grams or something, and it's a very quick knit. It starts with an S, although I can't exactly remember what it is. So yes, I wanted to show you that. Look at that. And when you knit it, of course, it's all scrunched up, and then you pin it out and block it, and it just comes out beautifully. So that is my little ode to knitting lace, and I'm sure I will be making more of these, or just knitting up some lace. You could just knit it, keep on going, wider and wider and wider, and end up with a scarf. But for now, this was made to size, and I really enjoyed it. So that was the last thing I wanted to show you. So thanks for bearing with me today, and for taking time to come and look at my crazy mixed up style of knitting podcasting, a bit all over the place, a bit of this, a bit of that, and I'm just so excited to be back here, and that it's winter, which is probably quite weird for most people who are dying for their summer, which is on the way. We have a lovely climate here in South Africa, and our winters are really not that cold. But if you're a knitter, you know, I've just spent 3 months in a very, very hot and humid place, and I'm just in love with the season right now, and I can't wait to get back to all my knitting. So thanks so much for coming along. I do have a Patreon page. If you would like to follow me there, you can follow me for free, or you can there's a paid part as well if you want to see more of my tours. I do take people on tours in India. It's called Mystic India Tours, and I have an Instagram page for Mystic India Tours, as well as my knitting page, which is called Tribal Bling. I will post that all down the bottom. But it has recently been suggested that I take a South African tour, which I think could be very interesting. So if you are thinking of visiting South Africa, if you're not South African and you're a crafter, follow me and let's see what happens. I would love to show you some very beautiful places, and we have lots of wonderful yarn here, lots of gorgeous crafters, beautiful nature, loads of wild animals, gorgeous coastline, and a lovely climate. And what else do you need? So thanks a lot for coming along, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Thank you very much. Bye.